I see quite a few people in here calling me a duck. I'm a duck. Call me a duck. Call me a chicken. Call me a goat. Call me a dog. I'm not in high school anymore, guys. A grown man out here.
Is he doing Peoria or Aspinall?
Aspinall.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be Aspinall. I think they're trying to come to some sort of an agreement. The rumor is that he wants $30 million, and the UFC's going to pay it. Hopefully, I hope they pay it.
I'll tell you guys right now, as a person that has been involved in big fights, a person that has sold pay-per-views, a person that at his time was at the top of the pay scale in the UFC as the heavyweight and light heavyweight champion. $30 million was literally a world away from anything we were making.
That's justified, him asking for that?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think with what he's done in his career, he should get that much money. And fair play. If he gets it, that's amazing. Good for him.
Joe Rogan dropped a bombshell. John Jones is reportedly asking for $30 million to fight Tom Aspinall. This wasn't a joke or speculation. Rogan said it with confidence, and knowing his close ties to the UFC, it felt like a legit peek behind the scenes. Even more shocking, the UFC might actually pay that amount.
He's annoying to me. He's annoying to me. And that's my own personal, he annoys me. I get to you guys, you find it entertaining, but I find him annoying. And I just don't like him. And at the end of the day, if I give him the opportunity to fight me, I want to be so compensated. I want to say it, I want that you money, honestly. And that's just what it is. That's just what it is. Or else my life is perfect without him. I don't need him at all, and he needs me. And that's a good place to be in a negotiation.
For John, stepping into the cage with someone he finds irritating isn't just about fighting, it's about making sure he's compensated at the highest level. In his own words, if he's going to give Aspinall the opportunity to share the spotlight, then he wants to be paid for you money. That kind of money that makes it worth dealing with someone he can't stand. And this isn't a bluff. John flat out said he doesn't need Tom. His life, as he puts it, is perfectly fine without the fight. But for Tom, it's a different story. Jones made it clear that Aspinall needs him, not the other way around, and that puts him in what he calls a good place to be when it comes to negotiating. So when you put that together with the $30 million figure Rogan brought up, it all starts to make sense. This isn't just about a price tag pulled from thin air. It's about a champion who knows his worth, knows the spotlight he brings, and isn't willing to share it with someone he doesn't even respect, unless the deal is massive. Jones isn't just protecting his belt, he's protecting his legacy, his leverage, and his peace of mind. Unless the UFC meets his terms, that dream fight with Tom Aspinall might stay a fantasy just a little longer.
I just spoke to the boss man, and who wants to see Tom Aspinall versus John Jones?
Tom, that would absolutely be the fight that the world wants.
But while John Jones is playing it cool and calculating on his side of the table, Tom Aspinall is doing the exact opposite. He's putting the pressure on. Instead of staying quiet or waiting in the shadows, Tom went public with a bold call out, and he didn't do it subtly either. After a direct conversation with UFC President Dana White, Aspinall made it clear he's ready and he wants Jones next.
To see, John Jones is probably watching this, so send him a message.
Hello, John. I have nothing against you personally, but I just think I'm better than you.
In front of cameras, crowds, and possibly John himself watching from wherever he was, Tom looked straight into the lens and delivered his message. He wasn't disrespectful or trash talking, but he was confident, dead serious. He told Jones that he has nothing personal against him, but he believes, without a doubt, that he's the better fighter. Not maybe, not possibly. He knows he can beat him, and he wants that chance. This wasn't just a casual mention, it was a challenge backed by self-belief and momentum. And it landed with impact, because while Jones is out here negotiating for you money, Aspinall is making his intentions loud and clear. Titles, legacies, and matchups aside, he wants the fight, and he wants it now. And that contrast is exactly what makes this potential showdown so compelling. One man feels disrespected and annoyed, the other just sees a beatable opponent in his path. One is demanding the biggest payday of his career, the other is chasing greatness. And as all of this plays out in real time, fans are left stuck in the middle, hoping that somewhere between pride and paychecks, the deal finally gets done.
What's the question?
Do you want to see the winner fight Tom?
The winner should absolutely fight Tom. Who's got the next question?
Knock it off.
Question for Michael Chandler. All in the
And just as Tom was making waves, the UFC press conference for Jon Jones's fight with Stipe Miocic added even more fuel to the fire. But that didn't stop people from asking the obvious question during the press conference that followed. What about Tom Aspinall? When Dana White was asked whether the winner of that fight, had it gone down, should face Aspinall to unify the heavyweight titles, his response left no room for doubt. The UFC sees Aspinall as the next man in line. There was no hesitation, no sidestepping, just a confirmation that Tom is now part of the heavyweight title equation in a very real way. And that explains a lot about Jon's silence, or even his frustration. For a guy like Jones, who's spent over a decade dominating opponents and defining divisions, it's one thing to deal with injuries and comebacks. It's another to watch a new dangerous contender gain momentum and public support while you're sidelined. Tom isn't just any contender, he's fast, technical, and confident, and he's not waiting quietly in the shadows. He's calling for the fight, in public, with conviction. That's the kind of energy that might irritate a champion used to setting the terms. Jon might feel like he hasn't been given the chance to cement his legacy at heavyweight yet, and here's Tom already being viewed as the man to unify the division. It's not disrespect, it's disruption, and that disruption is exactly what makes this matchup more than just a title unification. It's a power shift in progress, and it's clear that Jones demanded an insane amount of money to reverse the power dynamics.
Agree with him, though. Him and Pereira would be the
Pereira. Yeah.
Sorry, would be the fight everyone wants to see. Yeah,
perhaps
because he's been so dominant, that kid.
Yeah, perhaps. I mean, if it's going to happen, they're both 37. It should probably happen soon.
As the conversation kept rolling, things briefly shifted toward another potential blockbuster, Jon Jones versus Alex Pereira. Rogan and his guests tossed around the idea, and it was clear both of them saw the excitement in it. It would be a fight between two of the most dangerous men in the sport, both champions, both known for their power and skill. It's the kind of matchup that feels bigger than belts, more like a legacy-defining clash. But there's one issue: time. Both fighters are 37. That means if it's going to happen, it has to be soon. Waiting too long might mean missing the moment when both are still at their peak. The clock is ticking, and everyone in the room seems to know it.
But Jon is, the heavyweight champion of the world, and Pereira has challengers in the light heavyweight division, especially Ankalaev. He's supposed to be fighting Ankalaev. Ankalaev is fucking very dangerous.
Still, even with all the buzz around a potential Jones versus Pereira fight, Rogan pointed out a crucial reality. Jon Jones is the reigning heavyweight champion, and Pereira has his hands full in the light heavyweight division. Neither fighter is sitting idle. Pereira is already expected to face a serious threat in Ankalaev. Rogan didn't downplay that challenge, stressing just how dangerous Ankalaev is, and emphasizing that Pereira has to get through a tough battle before any potential super fight can even be considered. This grounded the conversation, reminding fans that while dream matchups are fun to talk about, there are real and dangerous contenders standing in the way. And speaking of dangerous contenders, Tom Aspinall is front and center in all this. But if fans were wondering why the negotiations between him and Jon Jones have been dragging on, Jon made his stance crystal clear in a recent interview. His feelings about Aspinall go beyond competition. It's personal. According to Jon, Tom simply annoys him, not in a promotional or playful way, but in a way that genuinely gets under his skin. He admitted that while fans may find Aspinall entertaining, he personally doesn't like the guy. That emotional disconnect isn't just about rivalry, it's playing directly into the business side of things. But Aspinall's confidence and that calm, calculated call-out didn't just light a spark among fans. It stirred the waters in the entire MMA community. One place where the conversation really took off was the Joe Rogan Experience, where Joe sat down with UFC welterweight contender Belal Muhammad. And once Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall's names were brought up, the energy shifted from general excitement to serious analysis.
It's a bit of a problem for him, right? Because he has not been tested in that way. And, you know, you're getting up to elite status where you're calling out Jon Jones.
Yeah.
Right? That's the boogeyman. Like, Jon Jones is the boogeyman. And maybe he hasn't died, but he's probably he's probably knocked on the door a couple of times like, what's going on, Death? You in there? You know, Jon Jones has had some trials and tribulations, but the skill set and the ability to push deep into rounds is nuts. Like
Joe Rogan, being the encyclopedic mind of the fight game, wasted no time in breaking down what this matchup truly means and why it's not as simple as a young, hungry lion trying to take the crown. Rogan laid out a concern that many hardcore fans have quietly wondered about. Tom Aspinall, as explosive and skilled as he is, has never really been pushed. We've only seen him dominate, and dominate early. He's always been the hammer, never the nail. But what happens when he finds himself in the deep end against a guy like Jon Jones?
When he fought Gustafsson, he had almost no training camp. They said he barely showed up. Like, you know, I talked to Jackson about it, and Greg Jackson was telling me, he's like, he didn't even train for that fight.
Wow.
He didn't even train. And then he pulled that fight off in the 4th and 5th rounds. That's when he like really turned it up. So you're talking about a guy who hasn't even been training. And then you saw the real Jon Jones in the second fight. That's motivated Jon Jones, who's like, I'm going to show you what the fuck is really up. And then he just beats the shit out of Gustafsson in the second fight.
That's where things get very real. Rogan reminded listeners that Jon Jones isn't just some legendary name on paper. He's a fighter who has thrived under the ugliest, most intense conditions imaginable. He brought up the Gustafsson fight, a moment etched into MMA history. Jones barely trained for it, didn't come in at his best, yet when the fight reached the 4th and 5th rounds, when most fighters fade, that's when Jon dug deep and turned it on. He found a second gear and fought like a man possessed. That's the kind of resilience you don't just train for. That's battle-tested grit. That's experience you only get by living through the fire.
And I wonder if it's going to get him to that point, all this talking from Aspinall, is to get him motivated, right? Or is he going to be at a point like, let me be done with Stipe and be done with it? But I don't want a heavyweight motivated Jon Jones if I'm on the other side. Like,
yeah.
The way he just pulled Gon down so easily and choked him out, I was like, bro.
Yeah.
And then Gon looks good his last 2 fights.
Aspinall is like, we've only seen him smash. We've never seen him be the nail.
Belal Muhammad was just as honest in his perspective. He started questioning whether all the noise around Aspinall, the interviews, the public callouts, the hype, might just awaken the sleeping giant. Could it be the thing that flips the switch in Jon's mind and brings back the ruthless, focused version of Jones we've seen glimpses of in the past? Because when Jon is motivated, when he feels like his legacy is being questioned, he doesn't just show up, he arrives with bad intentions.
We've never seen him be the nail.
Nobody ever, right? And I thought Pavlovich was going to be the one that's like, all right, it's going to be a banger. And then he just puts him to sleep.
And he took Pavlovich's fight with a fucked up rib. He couldn't even wrestle.
Yeah, short notice too, right?
I mean, imagine you going up against Pavlovich, you know the only guys who's ever beat him was Overeem, and Overeem took him down, beat him up on the ground. And you're like, I got to get this guy down. This guy's knocking everybody dead.
Yeah.
And he knocks him out standing. He's so fast for a heavyweight. But again, you're saying the right thing. Like, what is it like in the 5th round with Jon Jones? Because if you can't steamroll Jon Jones and he starts side kicking your fucking kneecaps, you know,
there's nobody better with distance than Jon.
The best.
And while there's a ton of respect for Aspinall's skill set, there's also an understanding that his journey has been relatively clean. Sure, he smashed everyone in front of him. Sure, he knocked out Sergey Pavlovich on short notice with an injured rib. That alone is insane. Pavlovich was considered one of the most dangerous men in the division, and Tom just walked through him. But as Joe put it, even that kind of performance doesn't tell us how Tom reacts when he's not in control. Because with Jon Jones, it's not just about skill, it's about psychology, pacing, pressure, and distance. Jon doesn't come in looking for a wild brawl. He picks you apart, he sidekicks your knees, keeps you guessing, and frustrates you until you start questioning your entire game plan. And by the time you realize what's happening, he's already pulled you into the deep rounds where he thrives. Joe and Bilal both agreed. If Tom Aspinall can't take control and finish Jon Jones early, the fight changes completely. Because no one, literally no one, is better at adjusting during a fight than Jon Jones. He's a master at adapting, using the chaos to his advantage, and taking control of the fight even when things aren't going his way. And that's why this fight feels so huge. It's not just about who's better on paper, it's about whether Aspinall can keep that same energy deep into round 4, when Jones is still there, still taunting, still calculating every move. It's about whether he can survive the mental warfare, not just the physical. So, after everything we've talked about, what Joe Rogan laid out feels like it's on the verge of breaking news. The UFC really wants Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall, but Jon is asking for a massive $30 million to make it happen. With the heavyweight title up for grabs and fans more excited than ever, it's clear that something big is coming. Sure, there are still a few things to work out, like money, timing, and other contenders, but it's clear things are moving forward. And when Joe Rogan starts talking about a fight like this, it usually means the talks are really heating up. If that's the case, we could be heading for one of the biggest matchups the heavyweight division has ever seen. What do you think? Are we about to see this epic fight? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to hit that like button if you want to see it happen. Let's discuss.